Good Monday afternoon, everyone. I'm meteorologist Jacob Wycoff, joined by our executive weather producer Terry Eliasen. We did have some snow this morning, wrapped up, moved on out of here. We're getting some melting done as we speak, but we have a lot going on as we look towards the future. Yeah, so I feel like the pattern as of late has been just quick moving, little bit of snow, inch or two here or there. And we said that last week. It was basically the northern stream of the jet was going to take over, and that means basically not big storms, but quick movers and a lot of them. And that pattern is basically over now with this morning's snow. And we're moving on to something else this week, which we'll dig into here. But before we get there, you were on Sunday morning and you got to see it live. I got to experience this live. Something that we actually talked about, myself, Jordan, and Tiffany Chan, Jordan Jagalinzer. I think that, Terry, you have such pull here that I think you should send us to Punxsutawney next year. Oh, you want to go? I want to go. Okay. I want to take a road trip. We'll figure it out. But we saw the festivities in Punxsutawney at 7:25, where they had their big release of what Phil was saying. Both Phil and Miss G in Massachusetts said. And when both groundhogs agree, you know they must know something. They must have collaborated.
Yeah, or it's just sunny in both places.
There you go, yes.
One or the other.
Phil, by the way, a father this year. So congratulations to Punxsutawney Phil.
So here's a question. Will his son take over his duties?
I think that it is something that, you know, is passed on through generations.
It's like the royalty in England. Like
the bloodline.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so
for those that are tuning in, waiting to hear about the storms this week, they're like, could you get off the groundhog and move on?
Exactly.
So, yes, there we go.
We've got some good news. You know, we're going to be talking about some snow chances, that sort of thing. But fortunately for us, starting today, we have our first post 5 p.m. sunset, and not far away we have some increasing temperature. I mean, within a month we're, you know, at 7 a.m. Sun rises, that is, too.
This is the best news we've had since Christmas morning, basically. Past 5 p.m. sunsets, it's like a marker to me. It's like, okay, we're making progress.
Right.
I mean, despite the fact that we've got wintry storms on the way, at least it'll be light out for some of them.
Right.
You know, I don't know. I think it's a big deal, and it's definitely a sign of things to come.
And we're adding 2 minutes and 30 seconds each day, so it's growing pretty quick. We did pick up about 1.4 inches of snow with this system. Did we get any after?
2 inches total.
With this system?
Yep.
So we actually got some on Saturday too. So I wonder if
well, at any rate, February, there's definitely been 2 inches of snow in February.
Okay, gotcha. Very nice. So that brings our seasonal total to 15.9 inches, above the last 2 seasons, but that's not saying much either.
Same thing in Worcester, kind of the same deal. You know, more than a foot below the average to date. So I think February, and if you saw Eric's report on Friday, our sort of a February forecast. February is going to be an active month. It'll feel wintry at times, but I'm not sure we're going to see like the everybody gets snow for at least for the next couple of weeks. There's going to be a lot of mixing going on.
Right. And that's like the ugliness of our winter. It's not fun, sleet, and I'd rather just have either a big snow event, a good snow event that we can all kind of look forward to. When you start throwing sleet and freezing rain into the mix, that's when it gets ugly.
Also makes the forecasting hard.
Well, that too.
So that first one on Thursday, and then more likely than not, probably another follow-up storm Saturday into Sunday. It's weird, like it's still almost a week away, but that's the signal for that Thursday storm, and the Sunday storm has been there for many, many days.
It has.
The models have been very consistent, you know, forecasting those two events.
And I can appreciate the consistency between the two models too, that they all have the same sort of storm, and not just Thursday, but Saturday and into next week as we get towards, you know, just before Valentine's Day. They all have storms in the forecast. We'll fine tune the details of them, but they all are showing some stuff. Highs tomorrow, we're back into the upper 30s and low 40s, so continued melting.
That's great news. Like today, we're even above this. We're in mid 40s today, near 40 tomorrow. So if you're like me and you didn't shovel, what happened? I just feel like this is a repeating theme.
Right.
I did not shovel the 1.8 inches that I got in my driveway, but I'm hoping by the time I get home tonight, most of it will be gone. If not, it'll be gone tomorrow.
Well, you got a high school senior, right? Put him to work.
I do.
Put him to work. Come on now.
I say the same thing, and my wife's like, you know,
let him be a kid.
That's a story for another day. But at any rate, definite melting going on in the next couple of days. So we kind of clear the benches, clear the driveway for what's next to come. Wednesday, the chill returns, and maybe that's sort of little hint of what what's coming on Thursday.
That sets the stage for what arrives on Thursday, which does look kind of ugly in the sense that we could have some mixing. We could have it start as snow, change over to some sleet, and eventually some rain. Here's our satellite and radar right now. We do have a brief period of sort of sunniness, but it's, I feel like, short-lived in the grand scheme.
Clouds are rolling in, and there may be just a sprinkle or a flurry tonight. Really, not almost a non-factor given the temperatures above freezing. But when we pull out wider, our next storm is way the heck out there in the Pacific Ocean right now, which again would make you think, okay, first off, we're saying it's less than 3 days away, and it's way the heck out there. So fast-moving flow. Second off, I want to wait another 24, 36 hours before I feel really confident in any sort of like mixed line. Where's it going to sleet? Where's it going to snow? When's it going to change over? Until it gets on land, we just don't get that good a sampling of the storm. So,
and this is also going to be a powerful storm for the West Coast too.
Absolutely, yeah, and we'll show you the full sort of track of it right now. Here we go. Comes ashore in the next 24, 36 hours, and you can see lots of rain and snow up and down the West Coast, and then pulls into the middle part of the country. So really, from West Coast to East Coast, a very significant storm for a lot of folks.
An impactful storm for sure. And then behind this, we dry out for a day and a half or so, and then we have another storm kind of on its heels. And this is what Terry has here. This is the vorticity, basically a measure of the spin of the atmospheric energy, if you will. And watch as this comes ashore. And then right behind it, we see another storm that's going to start to form. So storm 1 moving through parts of the Great Plains, the upper Midwest. That is going to impact us Thursday. Storm 2 on its heels, making its way through the West Coast, again, making its way through the Great Lakes and arriving Saturday night into Sunday.
But something to point out about this vorticity chart, like for an ideal New England storm, you really want something that's the center of the low is going south of us. We always talk about the benchmark and the 40-70. These are not benchmark-ish type storms. These aren't storms that are going to, like, classically one of them would roll in, redevelop off like the mid-Atlantic, come up, go over south of Nantucket. That's the type of setup you need for like an all snow, a blizzard, a big nor'easter. These aren't really that. These are coming more straight across. The center of the lows are actually going north or near Boston. Then hence all that vorticity and energy. Normally you would want to see that for a perfect storm to be underneath. So again, we're not to put these are going to be impactful storms, but not classic nor'easter type winter snowstorms.
We'd want to see that more digging down towards Cape Hatteras, that energy more of a U shape, a trough shape versus more flat as it stands.
So here's the same kind of graphic, but now instead of that crazy vorticity stuff, we actually put the rain and snow on. And you'll see storm 2, so they both come from way out, I mean, almost north of Hawaii, or somewhere in between Hawaii and Alaska, like right in that channel there. So they're coming from a long ways out. And again, more reason why we should be somewhat skeptical for any details anytime today anyways, but you see storm 1 does indeed pass north of us. Storm 2, a similar path, slightly farther south, but same idea. So we'll probably expect the same sort of impacts from 1 and 2. A lot of the models, at least over the weekend, it looked like storm 2 had a chance to be a little snowier. But in the end, I think they're both headed for some sort of mix or rain to finish.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's going to cut down on any totals that we get. Unless you're driving in the middle of the snow, you're not going to see the full impacts when all is said and done. Just because it will melt away, whether it is the warmer temperatures, whether it is the rain that melts some of it.
And these are you might have heard us talk about the front end thump of snow before. These are types of events that will come in as snow. You know, at the very beginning it's cold enough, but then in the mid and upper levels, warm air starts to work in. So you get a little bit of snow to start, or maybe in Sunday's case, a decent amount of snow to start, and then it just gets too warm, and we end up changing all kinds of various precipitation types. So it'll be definitely a tough storms to forecast. What we know about Thursday is that it's probably mostly a daytime event. Not a major snowstorm, but there's a lot still to kind of figure out here.
We're not to the point just yet, but we're starting to also get to sun angle season, where we have to consider how high the sun is getting up because that will also cut down on some of the snow totals too. So we're still working out some of the details of like what the snow amounts kind of look like and how quickly does that change over to some sleet, to some freezing rain, and then eventually some rain. So when you have that quicker transition, obviously it would cut down on the amount, that front end thump, it would cut down on that.
Yeah, and so my guess is that over the next couple of days, when we come on again at some point here, we'll probably break out those maps that talk about freezing rain versus sleet and what the difference is and how the atmospheric levels, layer cake, all that stuff. So more on that to come, but I would say by tomorrow, we'll have a much better idea of precip type, how much snow, when it changes over, at least for the first storm.
We'll have to, I did that explainer, the sleet and freezing rain explainer. We'll have to bump that up on the website.
Pull that up, absolutely.
All right, so as you mentioned, we're working out the details of the types, but as our thinking is right now, likely a brief mix south of town, really kind of Route 44 south and east. That's where we would see maybe a little bit of wintry precip, but a pretty quick transition over to rain. Meanwhile, north of Route 44, basically, as you go into parts of Norfolk County and north, that's where you would see the snow and ice, then transition over to rain. So front end snow to ice, sleet, and then over to rain.
Yeah, and obviously the area, as traditionally speaking, the areas north and west of Boston, especially like Fitchburg, northern Worcester County, southern New Hampshire, those areas will be the last to sort of get to freezing.
Just hold on to the cold longer.
So they'll hold on to the cold longer, and there may be, and for that reason, my guess is that we'll probably have higher snow / ice amounts up that way than we would further south. Again, more details coming soon, but we still haven't gotten a 6-inch or more snowstorm in Boston, and my guess is that we probably won't this week. So this streak will go on. I wouldn't rule out the Sunday storm yet if that front end thump ends up being bigger than we looks now. Obviously it's 6 days away, who knows, but at least until then this streak goes on.
I'm actually really optimistic this upcoming pattern that we're going to squeeze out a couple of snow events that, you know, we've had the cold December and January, we just haven't had the storms to tap into the cold. I think that these could kind of be sneaker systems, if you will, where we may not have the sustained extended cold, but there might be enough cold a day before.
Just got to get the right timing.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm actually optimistic that we're going to increase our totals this month. We'll see.
I think we will too. I mean, so February averages just over 14 inches, and even Eric said on his little piece Friday, you know, there's a decent chance, at least better than the last couple of years, of getting there this year. It may be a complicated, you know, way to get
nickel and diming ourselves a little bit
there, and then we put some sleet on top. It might be kind of complicated, but I think at least there is a decent chance. And I threw this map up only to say that the pattern basically for the next couple of weeks is we're sort of in the middle. So there's a southeast ridge trying to push warmth into the East Coast. There's cold trying to press from the upper Midwest, and hence the storm track comes right through us. That's really the main reason why we feel like, you know, basically storm every 3 or 4 days. We're probably in line for some kind of messy storm Thursday, weekend, and then, like you already said, perhaps something middle of next week.
I think it's worth noting that the January closed out below average. So we've had December below average, January below average. It's really, really hard to get an entire season below average.
Actually, I think it was 2015. Well, did we get all 3 months?
I'm not sure. I don't know if December was.
3 winter months below average. Very rare. It's already. I mean, 2 in a row. First time in 5 years. So
exactly. So here's our 7-day forecast. We did have that next weather alert in effect for this morning. That has since expired, but we will see some melting today. We're back to near 40 degrees for Tuesday, and then Wednesday sets the stage for what arrives kind of Thursday morning with some of that kind of thump of snow, then transition over to some sleet, freezing rain, and eventually some rain. And then we have that other system we're watching Saturday night into Sunday too for the winter storm.
And we were saying this just before we came on. There always feels like there's a storm right around Super Bowl Sunday. I mean, it's not unusual. I mean, it's mid-February, so I guess you could say that of probably a lot of different dates. But in my mind, especially having the Pats with so much good fortune over the last 20 years, I feel like I can never just relax and watch, you know, whether it be the Pats in the Super Bowl. There's always something either on the Super Bowl Sunday, the next day. It's just that prime time for storms, and, you know, here we go.
And that's what we're seeing right now.
Here we go again.
All right, well, make sure you stay tuned to CBS News Boston over this upcoming week with all the multiple storm chances that we have. Terry and I and all of our meteorologists will be fine-tuning the forecast. Eric will have the latest update tonight at 5 p.m. on WBZ, but for now, be safe, everyone.